what motivates a kid, like you said, who's obsessed with his image, but balancing that with these deep thoughts that you were having from Ireland, you know, probably living quite a comfortable life? What motivates someone like that to go to India and just leave everything behind to become a monk?
Well, really, I used to go on Sundays. They have a thing all around the world in the temples that were part of the organization that I got involved with, and they call it the Sunday feast. So they have like a vegetarian feast, music, chanting, a philosophical talk, and sometimes they might do dramas or different things. So I used to love going. Lovely food, nice music, deep thoughts. But I would have happily been an armchair philosopher, very happily. So I would have happily kind of had, you know, my whatever life I would have pursued, you know, probably would have tried to be successful, but I would have enjoyed being able to sit around with my mates and, you know, like we did in our teens, and like look up at the stars and kind of, you know, talk about philosophy and the universe, and they would have been very happily done that. But the thing was, when I went to the temple in Dublin, there was a senior monk there. His name was, his spiritual name was Tribhuvanath Das, which means the servant of the Lord of all the three worlds. And he was just amazing. Such an attractive, dynamic, powerful, deep person. And so I would sit and listen to his talks. And the thing about him, you know, some people can talk about philosophy, and some people, when they talk about philosophy, because of their life experience and their application of it, you have this sense that what they're talking about isn't just theory, they've realized it. Like it's something, when they're speaking about it, they're speaking about it from deep personal experience. So there's a lot more, it's powerful when you hear it. And he also, you know, he came from he was from Ireland. He'd been all around the world and done all different things. And so he had a great way also of taking this ancient philosophy and presenting it in a way which was very relatable to the time that we live in today. So all of his examples would be from, you know, regular life. And I was just really drawn to him. And then he said, and he was also amazing at playing the drum and singing. Like he would, when he would do the chanting and the music, he was like, his whole being was in it. Like his neck, he would roar like when he would sing, and his neck would bulge out, and he would put his head back, and he would be like playing the drum like this, and it was very kind of mesmerizing, you know.
Yeah.
A bit like in Indiana Jones. Do you guys remember Indiana Jones?
I haven't seen it.
You've
That's
heard
one
of
of
it.
the classics I need to watch.
Yeah, it's a classic. So Indiana Jones is a guy, like, you know, he's got the cowboy hat. He's kind of, sometimes he has a gun. Sometimes he like does karate. Sometimes he has like he'll swing across a massive canyon. He's like an adventure kind of guy. He was like that, but he was a monk as well. And he used to travel around Ireland and England, and later we did it in Africa, putting on these cultural festivals for the public just to present this philosophy and knowledge. And anyway, one day he was talking to me and he said, oh, I've just been traveling here, I've just been traveling there. And I was like, oh, okay. And he said, oh, you know, if I'd thought of it, you know, you could have come with me. That was it. Light bulb. I just went, really? Well, I could travel around with you. And he was like, yeah. I was like, that was it. I just decided to do it. And then I was with him. I was pretty much like his right-hand man. He completely trusted me. He knew I could get stuff done. He would just get me to do stuff, and like I was very dynamic then, like I suppose just like I was later, but I was busy and I was intensely focused, but I was doing it all alongside studying and the you know, the knowledge and like meditating and stuff. As a sort of, the idea is that you engage all your mind, body and senses and your intelligence, but you do it with the goal of trying to connect with the Supreme and ultimately try and do it as an offering of love. Rather than, I could have been doing all the same things and busy, just doing it to try and make a better life just for myself.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that. I think that's important. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just like, you know, we see it a lot with extremely successful and rich people. Not all of them, but because there are some, we see that example. After you've met your own needs, and then your family's needs, and you can help other people because you know, whether they're people that you vibe with or that are part of something that you're part of, or your country or whatever. Like when it gets to a certain point, like when you expand that circle out and out and out and out, where do you get to eventually? You get to God, right? And so the point, I suppose, is rather than have to wait until you've done all those things, you know, is like why not try and connect and plug into, so that language is a very powerful thing. So if I say God and all, like start talking like that, then people will think it's all about religion and stuff. But let me just use some different language for a second, just to kind of explain the same thing. But like, why not plug into that relationship, that energy, that potency, that power, that potential source now, even while you're building all these other things. You don't have to be a rich person like to have a relationship with the Supreme. Like, you can just be a very simple person and never do anything amazing in the world, and already in a way you've got the best thing, just by having that. You know what I mean? So in a way, it's not counterproductive to materialism, because actually, in one sense, nothing is material. It's material if you see it as being a separate thing from the Supreme, because then it sort of just is what it is. It's like, we even use the term dead matter, right? Whereas if you see it as if there is a Supreme, then everything is coming from them, even all of this so-called material stuff.
That's very beautifully put. And you know, indigenous culture, like, it's called animism, I think. They see everything as alive. So there's a lot more respect for nature. There's a lot more respect for everything, rather than like a means to an end.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
you know, it will resolve a lot of issues that we're facing, global warming, or you know, crony capitalism, where we treat things with a lot more respect. We do things in a sustainable way. When we want to bring tourism and things of that nature, that we're not destroying nature while trying to basically meet our own needs.
Yeah, exactly that. It's, you know, if you see everything as divine, then you still, you know, you there's nothing wrong with trying to meet your own needs. Of course, it's in our inherent nature to try and meet our own needs, but you want to do it in a way that doesn't necessarily in an adverse way affect other people, and is sustainable. I mean, we hear sustainability now, the word, in terms of, you know, materials and, like, you know, global warming and stuff. But when something is really sustainable, it means it can go on forever, and it's not going to have a bad effect.
Exactly. So they call it the gift economy. I forgot about the...
Yeah, there's also circular economy.
Yes.
Gift economy, like where... And actually, I just went to a meeting or an event at Apple in Birmingham the other day, and for their future products, not all of them, but some of them, they're making them completely carbon neutral. And some of us challenged them and said, well, what do you mean? Does that mean you just pay some offsetting or whatever? And they said, no, actually, we're going to make them completely from recycled materials from other used products. So we're not going to, because I said, well, what about mining? Right? And they said, well, on certain of our products, and we're trying to do it with all of them as we go forwards, is no more mining. So we're going to get like nickel and gold and copper and whatever we need from stuff that already exists that's being thrown away or not used. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, obviously a lot of mining's already happened, but, you know, like if we can get to that point where, you know, the stuff that I was going to say need, but really that we want, is from recycled materials, and is no longer kind of taking out the resources from the earth and whatever, then it's a step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, so going back, how did your parents react?
Sorry, yeah. So my dad is, you know, is a very free spirit, a very, he was quite excited about it. He
Really?
thought that, yeah. So he thought, you know, this is great. The first time I saw them after I kind of joined was at this festival that we were putting on, I think in Cork or Kerry in the west of Ireland, and my parents came, and my dad, you know, so what the music and the devotional music, they call it kirtan. And it can get very lively, and people get up and dance, and, you know, and so my dad was up, you know, it was the first time I had the robes on and I had my head shaved, And I was dancing in the crowd with the guests and everything, and my dad was getting in there and like dancing with this and everything, and he was enjoying it. So he was quite excited about it, because he felt like I was following a calling, or like, you know, something I really wanted to do. And he's an individualist in that sense. My mum was a bit more. It wasn't that she didn't want me to do what I wanted, but she was just a bit worried, I suppose, a little bit. I think understandably as well, like, you know, and a bit kind of. And also naturally, you know, thought, you know, she was going to miss me, and, you know, maybe she's not going to see me as much, which was true. And I'll just give you an example of kind of dogma, or kind of, you know, even in any spirituality, it can be there. Like I had this, I'd learned this idea that, you know, like whatever you eat, any food, it carries the consciousness of the person who made it. So as monks, we only ate food that we were prepared.
Oh, interesting.
Do you see what I mean? Because you only want to have food from people who are trying to evolve themselves, like, in a deep way. And so, but the thing about that was, then when I would come home, my mom would always make her own bread, and I wouldn't eat it. Do you know what I mean? It's quite intense, isn't it? And it was kind of like, well, no, because like, I mean, just imagine how. I can understand now. At the time, I was like, you know, hardcore. You know, I was just like, no, I can't eat anything that you've made. You know, I suppose sometimes they say it's like when a tree is very small and it's growing, you have to put a protective cover around it until it gets strong. So maybe I was like it is a bit fanatical, because you're kind of trying to apply a new way of life, that you sort of maybe have a bit of that protective rails around you. But actually I can see now that it was like, must have been extremely hurtful for my mom, and it was probably a bit over the top, you know, you know, so it's that rigid thinking.
Thank you so much for listening to this segment. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you want to check out the full podcast, link is in the description. Thank you so much for listening.